what do you think it adds to a recipe?
Well, I think it adds a lot of flavor. If you're going to bake with honey, you do have to adjust the recipe. So for about a cup of sugar, you only want to use between a half a cup and 3/4 of a cup of honey, because honey is a lot sweeter than sugar is. Plus, honey is a liquid, so you need to reduce any liquids that are in your recipe. And if there's no baking soda in it, you need to add a little bit of baking soda because honey has a lot of acid.
A lot of acid.
Yeah.
And what goes into the making, say, of 1 8-ounce jar of honey?
Well, this is a 12-ounce jar of honey.
Oh, okay.
So in this 12-ounce jar of honey, bees had to fly about 45,000 miles and visit 1.5 million flowers. And a worker bee, in its lifetime, will really only make about 1/12 of a teaspoon of honey. So I always think every drop of honey is incredibly valuable because it represents the life of that worker bee.
Yeah, indeed. So why do the colors vary so much?
Well, it's really depending on what flowers the bees visit. So this is a spring honey. And so in the Catskills, the honey tends to be much lighter in the spring.
And yet that's still a dark amber.
That's still pretty dark.
Yeah, this is a light honey.
Yeah, like that's a really light honey.
Yeah, this is...
And that probably tends to be from like a single nectar source, like orange blossom.
Or a clover field.
Or a clover field. Those are really light honeys.
Yeah.
Whereas these wildflower honeys are much more of a mixture. The lighter the honey, it tends to have a little bit more delicate flavor, and the darker honey is more
Now,
robust.
what is this honey?
So this is a fall honey from the Catskills. And, so this probably has a lot of goldenrod in it.
I keep sticking my finger in
you can use the little
jar,
taster.
but let me use the taster.
But if you taste actually, I'm obsessed with the fall honey. It's my favorite.
That's very good.
Isn't it good?
Mm.
Like, I have to say, I think this is my favorite honey ever.
It's really good.
And it's always different from year to year. It's almost like wine and that idea of terroir. It's really whatever the bees are tapping into at any given moment.
That one has a lot of flavor.
Yeah.
A lot of individual flavor. And this one, which is the comb honey.
Most people don't...
That tastes more typical.
Yes, because that's like grocery store honey. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the least typical.
I'm a big advocate of supporting local beekeepers because we need bees. And if we support local beekeepers, they'll produce more bees, which is what we need.
So what are your favorite ways to bake with honey?
One of my favorite ways to eat honey is on toast. Every morning I get up, I make toast, I put honey on it, and some kind of peanut butter or almond butter. To me, that's like the best way to have honey.
Now look at this. This is the bees got busy. This is the queen cage.
Yes.
And she came out this hole down here, if you can see that little tiny hole right there.
And then before I removed the queen cage from the hive, they started to build comb.
You were late.
Well, yeah, I was. But, I got this beautiful thing.
Oh, you did?
But that's what's so amazing about bees. I mean, when you really look at honeycomb, it's this incredible feat of design, engineering, and strength.
And they're all exactly the same.
They're all exact. And if you hold it up to the light, you see how they offset the comb? So that gives it much more resiliency. It's amazing.
The foundation, you mean?
Yeah, so that's really...
Well, you're a great student and a good teacher, and thank you very much for coming. And
my pleasure. Thank
about
you so
your bees.
much.
It's very interesting to have an insight into all things honey and honeybees.
Thank you.
Honey is more than just a condiment. Mark Randall's here to share his passion for this golden nectar and to tell us why you should incorporate it into your everyday baking.